Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how we can create a basic inventory system. So it's not going to be too basic, but it's also not going to be probably way too complicated. So we'll start by creating a simple product list. So I'll just name this worksheet like items. You can call it anything you want, obviously. And here I'll do the ID of the item, or whatever you want to call this. And then we'll do the name of the product or description. And I'll also do the pack size here. And probably that's it. You can add more things here if you see fit. I'm going to stick with this. So my item IDs, so I'll just do some random stuff here. Okay, so that should do it. So this will be our items. So I'll create another worksheet. So this will be where we receive new inventory. This is just items. So I'll just copy this headers from here. We'll add a couple of other things like QTY. Something like this. So here I want a drop down of different item SKUs that we have available here. So I'll just go here and select pretty much as long as you think this is going to go. I'll just select all the way down. So I'm going to press here, Command Shift down, select this entire area, go under data, data validation, and here list from a range. If that's not selected, go ahead and select that. Click in this box, click in this little icon, go to items, and basically just select this list. And again, you want to select more than what it is just for future as you keep adding to this. You can either do warning or reject any other items. If you want, I'm just going to do reject. Anything else, hit save. And what should happen now, let's just go on top here. If I go to here, it's going to add me these drop downs where I'm going to be able to select one of the items that are coming from this particular list, right? So if I'm trying to receive one of these items like this one, I want to auto-populate at least whatever information I can from here, which would be description and pack size. So I'm going to go here and do a VLOOKUP formula. And I'm going to do lookup this, comma, and I'm looking that up in this items table, starting from this A column and going down. So I'm going to select this much. I'm going to press F4 key to lock the table. You can also add the dollar signs manually. It doesn't matter. I'm going to drop this end row reference to just shift this all the way down. So that's going to be the table array, comma, and then assuming this was description, it will be column number 2, and then comma 0 for exact match. Make this bigger a little bit. So now if I take this formula and I drag this formula down, well, it's going to give me NAs for everywhere that it's not selected. If I select something, it will autofill the description for the item. Now, I don't want to say this NAs though, so I'm going to try to clear those so it doesn't say NA. So what we'll do, we'll just put this inside of an if statement. So we'll say if this equals to double quotes, meaning blank, then we want to leave it blank. Otherwise, we're going to do this VLOOKUP. So I'm going to go here, close parentheses, hit enter. And now if I drag this down, it should just be blank. And if I select something, it should just auto-populate whatever it should be. And you should drag this formulas pretty much all the way down. And I'm going to do that by doing Command Shift down or Control Shift down, and then Command D or Control D to populate that formula down. So now this should all be pre-populated with that formula. So as you go select items here, it should just populate. Now I need the same for pack size. So I'm going to take this formula, copy that, Control C, Command C, hit escape, go back here and paste. Now the only difference here, I want the pack size, so that's going to be column number 3 from our source data, which is items. So column number 3. So I have videos covering all these functions, VLOOKUP, if, ranges, all of them separately in separate videos. If you want to understand in more detail what's happening here, go ahead and watch these videos. Otherwise, this should do. So I'm going to double click here. I think that went all the way. Yep, it did. Good. So that's the pack size, the same way we have the description. So that's going to be populated automatically. Now I want to do some definition that shows that like these you select and these are auto-populated. So I'll just do a little bit of background color for these columns. So quantity, we are getting like 7 of this, 4 of these, 3 of this, 9 of that. So every time we receive new items to our inventory, we'll just do this. So this will be quantity expended. So what we'll do, we'll just take the pack size and multiply it by this. So that will be the pack basically quantity. And if you are just buying by piece, you can just do pack size 1 for everything here. So that's quantity expended. I'm going to double click. And again, that's going to drag that down. Apparently that dragged it again up to here. Now I need this to go all the way. So again, if I drag this formula down, that just gives me 0 for all of these, which is fine. I'm going to stay with that. So 0 is okay. And yet again, I'm going to highlight that with a color so I know that that's auto-populated. Cost per piece, so we're getting 7 of this. Let's say we're buying the 6-pack of that for $2. So if your cost for everything is always going to be the same, then you could incorporate the cost here too. But most of the time, it's probably not. So you're going to get your items received sometimes at different costs as you buy them. So that's why I kept it here. I'm going to select this column and change it to currency. So we have this. And finally, total cost is going to be, so I'm going to do this times this. I guess I did this cost per piece, not cost per pack. But this should probably be cost pack, not piece. That makes probably more sense. Again, drag that down all the way, that formula from the corner, and now we have this. So this is a formula. I'm going to highlight this too. So basically here we'll be entering the SKU, our quantity in packs, and then the cost per pack, and this should basically just give you your total cost. So if you want to also get cost per piece, you can add that here too. And just take your total cost and divide it by quantity expended. Again, drag that down. So because this is a division, we're going to get an error when we're trying to divide by 0. So we should handle that. So I'm just going to put this inside of an if error function. And I'm going to say if that's an error, comma, then we're going to leave it blank. I think we don't even have to do that. Just like this should work in Google Sheets. In Excel, you would have to do double quotes. So again, Control Shift down, Control D. So now we have this. And if I take this and convert it to currency, that should look prettier. And if you wanted, you could also add some borders and stuff like that to make it look nice. Maybe do some borders in the bottom that are thicker in here, something like this. So this should do it. So white ones are the ones we're entering, and the rest should pretty much auto-populate by itself. Over time, see, we'll be getting the same item multiple times here, like here, and then you'll probably buy the same thing all over again. See, it pre-populates here, and if you go here and do like 4 of these, and maybe this time it's 210 or something, it should just populate the rest and we should be fine. I'm also going to do another one for this Coca-Cola thing. So let's say this is 3 of those and it's cheaper or something. So now we're going to do our sales side, I guess. So a lot of this is going to be the same. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm just going to delete this and take this receive and just duplicate this. And just call this one sales. So this will be the receiving side when we get new product, and this will be when we sell products, we basically ship them up. You can call it receive or maybe ship or whatever you're going to call it. So when we ship our items out, most likely we'll be shipping by piece instead of shipping by pack, but who knows? I guess it depends on your business, so you have to adjust based on what you do. So I'm going to do sales. Now, this part is going to be the same. We're going to take the item that we sold, whatever it's going to be. Description is going to, again, we're going to get the description. We're going to get, maybe we don't need the pack size in this case. And if you wanted to, you could keep it. But I think I don't need it, so I'm going to delete that. Now, the quantity will be the items that you sold. So let's say we sold 45 of this and 32 of that and whatever numbers that would be. It doesn't matter. You could still do the pack thing. If it was per pack, you would just keep the same thing. But how much we're selling these items for, assuming that's going to be per piece, I'm just going to type some numbers. This will be price per piece. And this is basically the same. It's just this times this. That's total. And then cost per piece, we already have that, so we don't really need this thing. So this will be my sales side. Again, I just keep white for whatever we're entering, and the rest is going to be in a color, meaning it's going to be pre-populated with a formula. It's just going to work out. So we have our receiving side, we have our sales side. Now I'm going to do my inventory side. So I'll just take this, copy paste it. And you would probably also have a date in here someplace, by the way. So date, let's actually just do a little column here. Use the format painter. Do this. And here for your dates, you could again select this area. I'm going to do again Control Shift down, Command Shift down to select it, data, and then do data validation and choose date is a valid date and reject any other input. Hit save. So now this will be like a date picker, so you can select the date. And we should probably do the same thing for sales side. So I'm going to copy that, go to sales, and paste that column over here. So now we have sales date as well. Now our inventory, we need to, again, get a list of our items in here somehow. So for that, we'll probably have to get, whatever list we have received, I think, and populate unique list out of this. So I'm going to go here and do unique function and go to receive side and basically just select starting from this. Well, we don't want the A1 in here. We want to start from A2, the second row. And then all the way down. So I'm going to drop the end reference, close parentheses, and hit enter. So that should populate a unique list from whatever you have here, because your real item list might be a lot bigger than your actual inventory list. Now with that, we also want to get the description as usual. So that will be this same formula pretty much. So I'm going to just copy this, hit escape, go back to here and paste. And then drag that down. Again, Control Shift down, Control D or Command D if you're on a Mac. And the pack size is going to be very similar. I think I already had it here, so I'm going to just copy, hit escape, go back to this, and paste. And drag it down. Okay, so we need total quantity received for each. So I'm going to do received. So the way we're going to do that, we would have to basically just sum up all of these received and maybe also all of these. So I need to sum up for that water one here, here, here. And I'm going to do that using SUMIFS function. So I'm going to go back to this. Let me zoom out a tiny bit. So I'm going to do SUMIFS. So I want to sum from this receive spreadsheet this quantity column. And I'll probably not do the whole column, but start from here and drop the end reference. And I'm going to do, again, F4 to lock this range with $signs, or you can, again, type the $signs manually, comma. I want to do criteria range would be my items here. So, again, F4 to lock it and drop the end reference, comma. And I want to do this for, I'm going to go back to inventory and do it for this item. So that should give me the total for water. So see, it says 20, which means from here, it's basically doing 7 plus 9 plus 4, which ends up being 20. So that's correct. And then we're going to take all of this and again, drag this formula down. And I think I can live with those zeros. That's fine. So that's our quantity received. We also want to get received expended. So we get by piece. And it's going to be very similar. I'm just going to use the other column. So I'm going to do SUMIFS, go to receive, show this expanded column as my sum column, F4 to lock this, drop the end reference, comma. Then I want to do it by, again, item. Again, F4 and drop the end reference to send this all the way down, comma. And then I'm going to go back to inventory and click on the item. Again, Command Shift down, Command D, or Control Shift down, Control D. That would be that. So we have the number received. Now we also want to get the number sold for each one of those. Hopefully you'll have better column names for your columns than I do, but it doesn't really matter. So I'll do SUMIFS again. This time I'm going to go to sales, select this sold quantity, lock, remove the end reference, comma, and then the criteria range is going to be, again, this, F4 to lock it, go back to this, comma, and then finally go back to inventory and click on the item ID. Again, Command Shift down, Command D. That should do this. So that's sold, that's received, right? So then we can do the difference. So apparently here we sold more than we received, which hopefully doesn't happen, but who knows? So we'll do, I don't know, variance, difference, whatever you want to call this. I guess variance would be not exactly that, but so this is going to be simple. I'm going to do the received quantity minus sold quantity, and then drag that formula down. I guess this will be quantity on hand. So let's go receive a little more of this. So we have positive stock. So if I go receive, add this, and then do 10 more cases, and let's say it's $2. Anyways, doesn't matter. So now we have, see, quantity on hand updated, we have received, we have sold, and we have the number basically left. And as usual, these are formula columns. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of these. I think these are also formula. All of this is formula columns, as a matter of fact. So we should just go ahead and highlight all of them so we don't touch this. This is auto-populating. So we might also want to calculate, I guess, the cost. So let's see how we're going to calculate the cost for us. So the cost is going to be for this, basically the total cost, which will basically just sum the total cost for inventory received. So let's do that. So that would be again another sum ifs function. And this time I'm going to go to receive and do total cost. Again, F4, get rid of the end reference, comma, and that's going to be by item ID. F4, drop the end reference, comma, go to inventories, click on this, and drag that formula down. And this should be probably currency, and we should make it the same color as everything else. So I also want to do an estimated cost for quantity on hand. Now for that, we should probably get an average price for each item. You would probably do this in many different ways depending on your situation. Possible to go by the latest price for the item. That's one way to go, maybe. That would probably make the most sense when I'm thinking about this. Maybe get the latest purchase item price for that item, and based on that, estimate the cost instead of doing the average. So I was thinking maybe do the average over time and see what the average is. But now that I'm thinking about it, maybe just get the latest price and multiply by quantity on hand. I think that's what I'm going to do. So now I need to get the latest price for this water one. Let's see how we're going to do this. I'm going to take this A column from received, unlock that, and check if that equals to, from this inventory, this item. Just for clarity, I'm going to put this in parentheses. And I'm going to multiply that by the row formula. And I'll go to receive and again select that same column. F4 again to lock it, close parentheses. And then I'm going to make this an array function by doing Control-Shift-Enter or Command-Shift-Enter. Didn't want to do that, so I'm going to have to do this again. There it is. If nothing else works, you can also just type array formula function in the beginning and close parentheses. So what this is giving me is zeros for everything else. It says 2, 5, 6, 8. So if I go from here in this list, see, it's basically water 2, we have 5, we have 6, and 8. That gives us which rows have this water 1 in them. Now I want to just grab the latest one, which is going to be the 8. So I need to basically get the highest number, the 8, out of here. So I'm going to do that by just putting this whole thing inside of a max function like this. And that should give me 8, which is basically the latest row that this water one was in. Now what that's going to help me do, now I can get the cost, which is going to be the latest cost. And we should probably change this so we can actually see the difference. 32 cents. So that's what we need to get. So I'm going to do index from that. So I'm going to take this formula, what I have, not the array formula, just the max function without the array formula part. I'm going to cut that, which is basically copy and delete. And then I'm going to do index function here. So in index function, let me delete this part. The first part is going to be the column where we need the values from. So it's going to be this cost column. I'm going to select the whole thing, F4, to lock it, comma. And then I need the position. So the position is going to be what the formula was. So I'm going to paste that max function. Close parentheses again, hit enter. And there it is, 32. That's the latest received price, at least per piece for that item. So now we should be able to drag again this formula down. Let's see what happens when we go below. Okay, good. So basically we get nothing. So that's good. So I'm going to do Command Shift down and Command D to drag that formula down. Now we got not the average, but latest cost, I'm going to call it. or current cost. I guess that's better. So now that we have the current cost, we can also estimate the value, which is going to be our current cost multiplied by quantity on hand. Drag that formula down. So that's estimated value for that particular product or item, whatever you want to call it. Now, I'm going to add a couple of rows here. Select all of this and clear the formatting. Now, all of this should be also in that color. I should probably do these colors in the end, but here I am. So the reason for this, I just want to have some place here to do the total. So we'll do sum, select this, drop the end reference, close parentheses, and that will be total estimated value. And any other totals you may want to do, you could do them here. Because putting your totals in the bottom is a horrible idea. Now, the only thing I want to add to this, I think, is just average item cost. You could just do the average, right? And do average ifs and get the cost from here. Basically, I want to get the total cost for the item and divide it by total quantity. So that would be, I think, what we call a weighted average, if I'm not mistaken. But somebody will probably correct me on that. So if you just wanted to do regular average, you would do average ifs. And then you would go to receive and basically just select this cost column and F4 to lock it. Remove this end reference, comma, and then select this column and F4 to lock it and remove the end reference for that column 2, comma, and then go to inventory and click on your number. But instead, what I want to do, I want to do this. I want to do some ifs and go to receive and add the total cost for this item, which is going to be this column, and lock with F4, comma, and then select this column. Again, lock it and remove the end reference, comma, and then go back to inventory and click on this. And maybe we already have done that, didn't we? That was our total cost received. Yeah, we have. So we don't even have to do that part. We already have it here. That's good. We also have receive expended, which is, I guess, the other one, which is summing the quantity, isn't it? Let's just make sure that's doing what it's supposed to do. E and A. So E is this, A is this. Yeah, so that's exactly what it is. So we don't even have to do anything too complicated. We just have to take our total cost received and divide it by receive expended. And that's, I think, pretty much it. We have to remove this division by 0 error. So I'm going to do if error around this whole thing. Again, Command Shift down, Command D to drag that formula down. And we should have a cleaner column now. Maybe center your headers or whatever. But keep in mind, anything I did in this tab is basically a formula. We shouldn't be touching any of this pretty much at this point. So I should be able to now go here and add a new item I'm receiving from this items list. Let's do that 16-ounce bottles like this. And then I'm going to do 40 of that. And then it's, let's say, $6 or whatever. That should calculate the rest. And if I go to inventory, see, it's already here. We have our totals. We have our quantity on hand. We have everything else. And if we go to sales and or shipping, whatever you want to call this, if you add these amounts, it should basically just automatically target this one as well. And I suppose sometimes you'll do some real inventory and find out that your numbers in your stock are not exactly the same as what shows up here. So let me add another worksheet for this. I'm going to call this one inventory check. So here I'm just going to have go here and do this column. I'm going to copy this A column, paste it here. Maybe we'll also copy this description column and paste it here too. Quantity, I'm going to call it quantity offset. So let's say we did an inventory and we found out that for this item, it shows on hand 56, but we really have 54 or something like that. So we have less 2. So it would be like -2 for this. Or maybe you found out for something else you have more. So maybe this water 16, 8 more. Apparently this column is not dragged down. So I'm going to make sure I do that. So basically we'll want to have these numbers somehow affecting our inventory numbers here. We'll probably have a date on this as well. So I'll just copy and paste that column, which is going to be that date that you can select, like when you did this. And okay, so let's see how we're going to add all of that to this. And that's really quantity on hand. So right now we're just taking this minus that. So whatever we receive minus whatever is sold. Now to that, we want to offset our inventory check quantity. So we need to add all this up. Now, one other thing we have to remember is that you could do this inventory over time again, and then the same item could appear here multiple times. So maybe here you have -2 at some point. So now I'm going to basically just have to sum up these totals by this and add it to our quantity on hand. So I'm going to take this and plus, I'm going to do some ifs, go to inventory check, select all of that. So lock quantity offsets, remove the end reference, comma, and then select ID numbers, F4 again, remove the end reference, comma, and then go back to inventory and click on the item number. Hit enter and make sure I drag that formula down. So now we have this. So we have 54 items because we just did an offset of -2. So if I go and change this to +2, that should go to 58 because it was 56 and we add 2, so 58. And now we can do stuff like this too. So -2, so we go back here, it's 54. And over time, if we come back and do this again for this item, so maybe this time we found out we have like 8 more of these. So if we go to this, here we have it in our inventory. So basically inventory tab is all auto-completed for us. We'll be working on all these other tabs. So I'm just going to move this here. Inventory is auto-completed. We do the rest in receive, sales, inventory. And if we want to do more items that we can work with, we just add it to our items list. And I think that's good enough for this video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.